In our fifth story in the countdown, Occupy Wall Street roars through New York City. Its ranks swelling as members of the AFL-CIO, the United Auto Workers, and the Transit Workers Union join in. This, as a growing number of Democratic lawmakers say it's about time. The lowest estimate of the crowd that marched the mile between Foley Square and its courthouse and City Hall to Zuccotti Park this afternoon, just off Wall Street, at least 10,000 per the New York Daily News. Also, the Financial Times quoting that number. ABC News now with its own live Occupy Wall Street.
You know, the risk these guys were taking after the dot-com bubble blew up, these guys were trying to make up for lost revenue, and they got very, very aggressive, and they took way too much risk. And when the economy went sideways, all that risk was exposed, and we went into free fall, and it's absolutely, it's reckless, bordering on criminal.
Now let me tell you what they're talking about. They're complaining about the fact that Wall Street wrecked the economy 3 years ago, and nobody's held responsible for that. Not a single person has been indicted or convicted for destroying 20% of our national net worth accumulated over the course of 2 centuries. They're upset about the fact that Wall Street has iron control over the economic policies of this country, and that one party is a wholly owned subsidiary of Wall Street, and the other party caters to them as well. That's the real truth of the matter. As you said before,
I was no longer going to be, you know, one of the few people out there. I've been saying this for over 20 years since my first film about corporate America, about Wall Street, and that I'll join in if everybody else will get up off the sofa, but I'm not going to be the poster boy on Fox News anymore and let them go after me every day alone. Right. There's going to have to be a million of me, or I'll be a million. We'll all be part of millions, and so they've written the sort of the end of the film, and now a new thing has begun. So this is all, I'm very happy these days, because I think this is all positive motion in the right direction.
Yeah, when the polls come out and it says it's 57% of the country supports their point of view, that's not just a million people or people watching your film or whatever other number. That's 57% of the country saying, no, you were right all along, or at least we finally figured out you were right all along.
Right, and this is a movement that's just barely a month old.
Exactly.
And 57% of the public.
It's 30% at most, more likely 25. It is not a massive force sweeping America.
Now, John Nichols, Washington correspondent for The Nation magazine. John, good evening.
Good evening, Keith. It's good to be with you.
And it's good to have you here. Thank you. Do those poll numbers, the last ones especially, surprise you? Awareness and approval in less than 4 weeks?
Not in the least, Keith. I think this is one of the first movements that has really operated on all the levels of communication. It may not need old media to connect with people. This is a movement that is reaching people via the internet, obviously, via cable, via YouTube. And I think there's something really important about the way it's reaching people. It's speaking to precisely the issue they're worried about, and that is that we have a government that seems to be in hock to Wall Street. It doesn't seem to be willing to challenge Wall Street. And so across the country, people are saying, okay, let's try this thing.
The Securities and Exchange Commission got major accounting irregularities that weren't covered by the press. And shortly thereafter, a long stretch of thefts, threats, my telephone and email are being hacked. We had continual vandalism that spanned several years. And that's why we don't hear from bank whistleblowers, because they're being silenced. What's happening to me is happening to other people. So I'm here today to try and raise awareness about what happens to bank whistleblowers. And hopefully other people will be able to speak out.
Disproportionate amount of force and the disproportionate numbers that have been deployed to contain the protests here, for me, illustrate that the real people who are scared are the power elite. Of course, they're trying to make you scared and us scared. But I can tell you, having been a reporter for the New York Times, that on the inside, they're very, very frightened. They do not want movements like this to grow. and they understand on some level, whether it's subconscious or in other cases even overt, that the criminal class in this country has seized power.
There is no authority in the Constitution authorizing a central bank, which means there should be no Federal Reserve system.
You hear George Bush saying democracy means freedom. No, democracy equals New World Order. Democracy equals slavery. The word democracy is not synonymous with freedom.
Hotel in Samaritz in Switzerland, and it's there that for the next couple of days, around about 150 of the world's most powerful people will be meeting behind closed doors to discuss whatever they like. It's the Bilderberg group again, of course. It's the invitation-only gathering of the world's most influential people.
America was founded as a constitutional republic, and in that constitutional republic that we have, 99% of the people can't take away the rights of 1%. You have your rights because you were born with them. You have God-given human rights that nobody can take away from you. The government, the majority, no matter who they are, I can't take away your rights.